Hello, my name is Ashley Monroe and I'm an instructor here at Move Studios, and we're located in Denver, Colorado. And obviously, if you haven't known by now, I am pregnant with my second child, and I'm super excited to do these videos for you today because a lot of the time when we're pregnant, we get all this flexibility in our pelvis, and what happens is we lose lumbar flexion, right? Lower spine flexion. Right? And what happens after that is pain comes in your pubic symphysis, you get back pain, you even get neck pain because the lumbar is directly connected to the cervical, you get mid-thoracic pain. So why am I doing this video? So that you don't have pain and we can work on stability through your pelvis and get everything around your trunk stable for you during your pregnancy. So what I would highly recommend first is most of us, my first pregnancy, I didn't have to wear them, but most of us out there in the world have to wear a belt. I would recommend taking it off for this video just so you can feel what's actually going on with your pelvis, and just put it to the side because we're not going to do anything strenuous that's going to put pain in your lower back or in your pubic symphysis. So what do you need for this video? You need a pillow. Obviously, I have a bed pillow right here. You could use a throw pillow from your couch. We have our cheater towel, which is 3 to 4 thin or thick towels rolled up in thirds. I have 4 because I'm a little bit more along in my pregnancy than most. I'm almost 7 months pregnant. I'm a week away. And I have 2 pads for my knees because I have bad knees, and we're going to be on all 4s later in this video. And then I have a thicker booty band. This is for people that don't necessarily like the feeling of the VersaLoop, but we will be using both. So thicker cloth band and our thinner latex band, okay? And of course, your water. If you're not drinking, no, that's super bad, don't do that. All right, so we're gonna start with some lumbar flexion. So you're gonna lie down on your back. I'm gonna prop my little pillow, move my belt to the side. And I'm going to put my cheater towel between my ribs and my hips, right? Because if I took it out, right, there's a big space because I'm pregnant, right? So I want to put that towel back underneath so I can feel myself softening the baby back towards my spine, all right? And it's kind of hard to feel your transverse abdominis, your TA or belly button to spine when you're pregnant. So most of the time I will be talking about wrapping the baby because I like that visualization. So we're going to start with the posterior and anterior tilt of the pelvis, right? So I'm going to show you with my hands, and then I'm going to put my hands down. That way you can really see what my pelvis is doing. So we're going to go into a posterior tilt. Now most people just use their legs and their butt, and you can even kind of see it with my shorts on. That's wrong. So we want to drop it back down, settle the pelvis down, and I'm going to scoop into a posterior tilt and then release back to an anterior tilt, right? Lumbar flexion, right here, and then neutral pelvis. Because I'm trying not to go into extension and pop up my ribs because that's what my baby is already doing to me. So I want to scoop and find neutral again. I'm going to do 2 more with my hands. And then reach it back down. Exhale up. Inhale down. I'm going to put my hands down by my side. And now I'm going to continue. Same exact movement. And if you see, when I exhale, when I go into that posterior tilt, you can really see me wrapping the baby, and then I go back down, and I don't want to, right? So I want to kind of keep it still wrapped. 2 more. And back down. Last time, exhale up. Inhale back down, right? So that's our first movement. Second movement for lumbar stability and mobility, okay? We want to reach one sits bone down at a time. So if you think about it, when you walk, one sits bone goes forward, one sits bone goes back. So we're going to do the same thing lying down on our back. So I'm going to think about this right sits bone reaching down, the back side of my pelvis reaching down into the mat, and as you can see, my femur and my knee on the left-hand side is kind of reaching up, because if one moves down, the other one moves forward and up. And then I'm going to do the other side, right? Because a lot of the time what that belt does for us is it stabilizes our back and the front side of our pelvis, and we kind of lose this range of motion. So we want to try to get it back when we have the belt off so that we can really feel what side of our pelvis is dropping back more into the mat. So I can tell my right side, it just feels so easy for me to drop it down into the mat, whereas the left side I have to really think about sinking it down. Again, I'm going to think right side down, left femur slides up, and then I'm going to think left side down, right femur slides up. A lot of the time in Pilates, we'll do this exercise. It's the same kind of thing, except with the pelvis, right? So I'm reaching one side down, and then I'm going to reach the other side down, and the other side slides up. So we've done up and down the body. We've done side to side. Now we got to think on a lateral plane. So I call this the Betty Boop, because she used to go boop, boop, be doop, right? So you want to think about this right side sliding up the body, left side slides down, and then thinking left side slides up, right side slides down. This side's so much harder for me. And again, we go up on the right, down on the left. I'm going to put my hands down in a second so you can really see, but I'm just trying to give you a visualization of what your pelvis is trying to do with my hands. I'm going to take my hands down, and I'm going to slide the right side up, and then I'm going to think about initiating from the left side, and then in return, the right side will slide back down. And I can already feel some relief in my lumbar spine, because at the same time that I'm moving my pelvis around, I'm essentially working my pelvic floor. So when I exhale, I'm engaging my pelvic floor, and then when I inhale, I'm widening my pelvic floor. And that's super important as we get later in our pregnancy. One more time. Good, and coming back to center, right? And the floor is here to support you, right? We are not hard on the floor, right? We want to yield into the floor. So sometimes I just like drop my pelvis down, and I can actually feel if my sacrum is level. All right, so now we're going to talk about leveling your pelvis out. Let's say even before you start these exercise series, you say to yourself, is my pelvis level? Now, how do you tell? So I'm going to turn to one side to really get into this. You always want to feel like you're gracefully moving in and out of everything. So we have our bony landmarks, our knees. So if I bring my legs forward in space, right? I know you can't necessarily see this. Sometimes it's easier to see this seated, but I can see that my right leg is more forward in space than my left leg. And if I kind of put my hands here, I can see that my kneecap is farther forward on the right. So when I lie down on my back, what does this mean? So if I lie down on my back, okay, find my cheater towel, find my support, right? This side of my pelvis is more anchored to the mat than the left side, right? So I want to make sure I'm starting my body off with success. So what can I do to level my pelvis, right? I can get this side to drop down, this side to lift up. So, and every day it's day to day, because normally this side is the side that's whoop, and this side is the side that's up. So I want to take my towel and turn to the side again. Okay, I can unroll my cheater towel. I can take 2 of the towels, roll them up, make a little bolster for my, and I'm going to put 2 to the side. So then I'm going to lie down, again, gracefully like a gazelle, and I'm going to put this little bolster underneath this right side to drop my left side down. And then I can just work on my diaphragmatic breathing, right? We talk about the pelvic floor and the diaphragm looking like a jellyfish, right? They work together as one unit. Okay, so I'm working on leveling my pelvis right here with my little bolster, dropping my left side down, elevating my right side up, and I'm just going to take a couple nice breaths. And the reason I'm making the breath more vocal is because when we're not vocal with our breath, we tend to hold a lot of air in, right? So we want to be like, and then, you could even be louder than this if you'd like to be, right? And then you hold your breath a little bit at the bottom, and then you take a nice inhale again, okay? So you can be here for 5 minutes, you can be here for a couple minutes, you can take your bolster out and be like, you know what? That feels really good after 2 minutes of staying here. My pelvis feels really level and stable. And then you can go into that series that we just did. The posterior tilt, anterior tilt, the walking with the pelvis, and then the Betty Boop, right? Oh, I just did the Betty Boop. Boop, boop, be doop. That's the Betty Boop. And then the walking is reaching down, reaching down, reaching down, reaching down, okay? So you can always start off with this if you feel like your pelvis is not very level. All right, turning to one side. So I'm going to wrap up my cheater towel again. Okay, so we worked on pelvis mobility, right? So we need both. We need mobility and stability. So have my cheater towel ready for myself. I'm going to put that to the side. So I like to start on all fours. So I'm going to grab my little pads for my knees. Okay, I'm going to come onto all fours. Okay, and then I'm going to come over and I'm going to walk on my knees and I'm going to sit down and put my booty band on because I'm wearing shorts, so the fabric is a little bit easier on my skin. And I'm a sensitive Cieli. So move my pillow to the side a little bit. Come to the center of your mat. Start your hands underneath your hip, hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Now, if you feel like you're a lot more unstable through your pelvis, you can keep your toes tucked on the mat, right? So this is like, I think about like a dog peeing on a hydrant or Jane Fonda. So I wrap that baby up, I draw those shoulders down, and I'm going to lift my outside thigh up and bring it back down. Up and bring it back down. Notice how I'm not lifting up my right foot. Again, bring it back down, bring it back down, bring it back down. Last time. Bring it back down. So 6 is really great. 6 is a great number, okay? Now I'm going to go turn myself around so you can see the other side. And I'll give you a little different modification if you want to make your range of motion bigger. So we're coming down on all fours again. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. I tuck my toes underneath. I'm going to lift my thigh up and bring it back down. I got 3 more. Wrapping that baby, 2 more. 1 more time. Good. So another 2 modifications that you can do is you can actually put your feet against a wall. So if I'm on all fours, the wall would be right behind me. I can also, if I'm working my left-hand side, have this whole side of my body, my right-hand side, into a wall as well. So there's a lot of different things you can do for feedback. And what I mean by feedback is connecting your brain more to your body, right? So I'm gonna take my 2 pads, put them to the side, because I've done my all fours. I'm going to take my pillow, put it down. I'm going to keep my booty band on. And this time I'm going to use my cheater towel between my ribs and my hips on my side. Because, you know, there's a baby there. Give her a little cushion. And I'm going to lie down. Right? Settle into your side. Right side is always not as comfortable as the left for me. So I have my head, my shoulders, my hips, and my feet on the same plane, and my knees are forward, but they're not all the way in line with my pelvis. So I'm taking them more of like a 30 degree, I don't want to say 45 degrees. Now this bottom hand can either wrap around my pillow, it can be straight ahead, okay? My top hand can be on the floor, or it can be on my hip. I like my hip for feedback. So remember that pattern we worked on? You can try it here too. Sliding the hip up, sliding the hip down. Sliding the hip up, sliding the hip down. Maybe that's a better feedback pattern for your brain to connect to your pelvis. So I find that length, that cheater towel is also helping me keep the bottom length. And I'm going to lift my top knee up, feel my glute medius, and lower back down. We haven't talked about the pelvic floor a lot in this video, but there's your pelvic floor, right? And then you have your co-contractors. So that's 3. I'm going to go to 8 on this side while I'm talking. So our co-contractors for our pelvic floor, our inner thighs, our glutes, and our TA, right? Woo! It's all about quality, not quantity, people. You have to do just 8 or 6, and then you're good to go. One more time. Bring it back down. So, if we're talking about pelvic stability, right, I want to think about my pelvic floor co-contractors. So that's why I'm talking about them. So I set myself up on the other side. Again, a modification for this would be being against a wall. So I have my hand here. I can go into my patterning again. And you can tell how much easier it is for this side for me. I have my feet in line with my pelvis in line with my shoulders in line with my head, and I'm going to exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Now most people will do this, and if you just saw my pelvis move back in space, that's not me stabilizing anything, right? That's me using my lower back to move my leg. So I want to keep my hips stacked. That's why the wall is a good feedback. I want to exhale up, inhale down, exhale up, inhale down, exhale up, inhale down. One more time, exhale up, inhale down. So we've done all 4s. We've done side lying. Now, there's another piece to the puzzle with stabilizing your pelvis, and that's your psoas, right? So we're going to go back. I'm going to put my booty band to the side right by my belt. I'm going to go to the other side of my pillow. I'm going to have my cheater towel. I'm going to grab my Versa loop and then put it on my feet. Okay. Doot, doot, doot. Again, slowly coming down like a graceful gazelle. Okay, so I want to find out where my pelvis is in space. So again, I'm going to go into that posterior tilt, anterior tilt, find that halfway between spot, and let's go ahead and work our psoas, right? So in order to really work one side, we have to stabilize the other. So this is my left side, this is my right side. So I'm going to float the right leg into chair. So I'm going to work the right psoas, but I got to stabilize through my left hamstring glute, left hamstring, and left foot. So I'm going to inhale here, exhale, stabilize, initiate, and then lower back down. Stabilize through my right side, initiate from my left, bring it back down. And what I really like about the cheater towel is it's going to tell me if I start to posterior tilt, because I'm going to feel a lot of pressure into this towel. So I don't want to do that. I want to stabilize my pelvis. Inhale here. Lower back down. Lower back down. I'm going to do 2 more. Our favorite number 6. Woo! One more time. And bring it back down. Another modification, right? I can lift both legs in the chair. I can grab one side of my thigh. Now let's say the baby's kind of in the way. You can just take your outside hand and put it on the outside of your thigh and just feel that feedback, right? My hand is pressing into my thigh is pressing into my hand. Sink the baby down. Exhale. And bring it back in. So this psoas is stabilizing a lot. And this psoas is working a lot, right? Okay, one more time. Okay, I'm going to switch sides, change sides. Exhale. And I really like this because it works through the chain from the pelvis all the way down to my foot, which is super important because the farther you are along in your pregnancy, the more you have a tendency to externally rotate and waddle and sometimes even turn your foot out from your knee instead of your whole entire leg from your hip. 2 more. One more time. And there you go. Drop one foot down at a time and then turn to one side. Push your body up. Take your Versa loop off. These have many names, so you can just look for a little band that's kind of like a rubber band loop. Put it to the side. And there you go. So find your sits bones. Ground down into the floor. Most of the time we want to pivot forward. So you have to think, again, shoulders in line with the hips. Find that head tail. Find that groundedness. Find your sits bones, the bony landmarks at the base of your pelvis. Let's just end with 4 breaths. So inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more times. Last time. And exhale. So there you go. Pelvic stability and mobility. Enjoy.